Good afternoon. Ingrid Stone describes herself as a serial complainer. She wrote her first letter of complaint at the age of 8 when a toy she won at a fun fair wasn't quite up to scratch. She didn't succeed in coaxing the fun fair into exchanging the grubby plastic doll. But in more than 30 years of complaining since, Ingrid has clocked up an impressive tally of freebies. They range from club-class flights on British Airways all the way down to a replacement butter dish and a pack of flypaper. Ingrid estimates she writes 2 or 3 serious letters a month, and along the way has received hundreds of pounds worth of vouchers. Baby bottles, ink pens, balloons, dental floss are just some of the items that are set Ingrid typing. So do you think we should all be better at complaining when services and products don't measure up, or are you somebody who finds the very idea mortifying? Perhaps your partner is a serial complainer. You find the constant grumbles embarrassing. Do call us 0500 288 291, email vine@bbc.co.uk, or find us BBC Radio 2's Facebook page, Twitter as well, the whole thing. So we're joined by Ingrid Stone, writer and serial complainer. I'm suddenly thinking you're going to complain about, like, we were all in a mess when you came in and we were all over the place, and I'm sorry.
I'm very pleased you didn't say serial killer. So there's a slight improvement.
So now, when did it start for you, Ingrid? What was the very first thing? Because I mentioned you were 8 and there's something at a fun fair.
I was indeed. Gosh, I sound awfully precocious, or I was awfully precocious. But my grandparents took me to the fun fair at Torquay, and I wanted a little friend for my monkey. And I had my eye on these gorgeous little teddy bears, and I wanted my grandpa to win one. And I was all very excited when he was at the shooting range and did rather well. And he didn't win one of the teddy bears at all. He got this it was filthy, this little dirty doll. And I'm sure my grandparents helped me a little bit with it, because I would never have dreamt of writing "Dear Sirs" at the top of my letter. I wrote a complaint letter to the fun fair, and the reason I've still got the letter is we went to deliver it, and of course the fun fair had gone, it had moved on, so that was the first ever complaint letter.
So that one effectively failed? It
did. It was a tremendous failure.
So you now write 2 or 3 a month, so you find just something to complain about with everything, really.
I do. I mean, God, that makes me sound like a monster. I'll rephrase that. I try not to, but if there's something that I find unsatisfactory, be it a product or a service, or even something that doesn't get freebies. I mean, there's been a lot in the tabloid press about freebies. That's actually not the issue or the whole point of it at all. It's actually making a point that we all deserve a better product or a better service, and it's making that point clear and making ourselves known as consumers. That's really the whole point of it.
And when you complain, do you take on what tone do you take on? Do you take on an angry tone, or do you take on a slightly wry and funny tone?
I definitely believe in being slightly wry and funny. I mean, and that's why I enjoy writing to people where I know I'm not going to get anything out of it at all. And I actually do enjoy the whole process of letter writing itself. I like words, and I didn't actually think, I mean, I certainly didn't set out for the letters to be funny, but 1 or 2 people, and I certainly don't guffaw when I write them, but a couple of people said they were quite funny, so I continued in that vein.
And your biggest success?
I think my biggest success was many years ago. I used to work for ITV, and me and my colleagues, we were travelling to Cannes for a TV market. We buy TV programmes, and everything that could have gone wrong with the flights did, and including arriving at the hotel and there was a stranger sleeping in my bed. I mean, that was the knock-on effect of the whole thing. Absolutely.
You have to sort that out.
So I wrote to Willie Walsh, who was the chairman at that time, and even though we just flew out in economy, he arranged for us all, there was me and 5 colleagues, to have, we all had return sets of business class. I think it's Club Europe, I think it's also called, tickets anywhere in Europe. So
wow.
It was quite popular for a while.
That's very good. And I saw that you had complained about dental floss. Now I'm trying to think, because I've never been offended by one of those cartons of dental floss. So what could have possibly upset you about that?
Oh, they were a particularly painful bit of dental floss. I think a lot of us use dental tape, which is that's much kinder to the gums. And I can't remember where I bought it from, but they didn't have any regular dental tape, so I was stuck with buying this stuff. And it was literally, like string.
I now know what you mean.
Oh God! And it was one of those. If we were living in sort of hundreds of years ago, people probably would have wound it around a rotten tooth and slammed the door in it to extract the tooth. That's how bad it was.
The balloons. I'm assuming that these are balloons you bought from a pound shop.
No, they were Tesco. They were Tesco.
And
balloons.
They blew up, did they? When you blew them up?
They exploded. I was doing a party for a friend, and so I bought this packet of pearlised balloons, and probably about a quarter of the packet just exploded, and there were lots of little children around, so there were a few lots of tears and crying. So I wrote a complaint letter to the chairperson of Tesco, and I said that I hope that their Tesco own branded condoms fared better.
Lorraine Amato is in Bromley. Hi, Lorraine.
Hello, Jeremy.
Now, you did what Ingrid does. You complained at your local co-op.
Hooray!
I know. I mean, I'm not maybe as articulate as your lady that's on the phone now. And not, it's just a basic thing that really, angered me. And I was barred from my local co-op.
From your local co-op? What did you complain about?
Well, especially when my dad was very ill, there was no bananas there, no eggs, no milk at some time, and there was plants in there, begonias, that were dead, and they were still charging the same price. And I thought, no, that can't be right.
And then
I was barred from there.
Barred
for a year.
And I gather the final straw was over a complaint about salmon.
It was salmon on croute. Yeah.
Salmon on croute.
No, you know how you 2 for 1. It was there was 2 for £7, and I went in there. This was the last thing, and I said, "Well, there's only one there," and he said, "Well, I'm sorry, you can't have it." I said, "Well, I'll pay £3.50." And you know what? They charged me £4.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying, people sit back and don't say anything about anything. And I'm afraid you have to. Although, as I say, it was I won't forget it, 23rd of May last year, that I was barred from the co-op for complaining.
Thank you, Lorraine. I hope you're back in there now. We are speaking with Ingrid Stone about serial complaining. It's Radio 2. This is the new one from Katie Melua. I Will Be There by Katie Melua on Radio 2. We are talking with Ingrid Stone. What's your key tip, Ingrid, for complaining effectively?
I think my key tip, I can't even speak anymore, is always go straight to the top, because I think customer services departments are often really inundated with correspondence. And I think also the people at the top running the companies, I think it's actually in their interests, especially now with the current economic situation. I think it's in their interests to know what's really going on from the point of view of their consumers.
Okay, Glenn Lewington in Newtown says, my wife complains a lot. She complained because all the jelly tots in a packet were orange and yellow. And I mean, she is quite serious. And another time, because of a bad flight experiences, in both cases it paid off. We were sent jelly tots and £800 of vouchers for Air France. People should complain more, and constructive criticism is good. I had an aerosol kind of a deodorant thing which just gave up after 3 squirts, and I sent them a funny video of what I could do with it. But one thing I couldn't do with it was the thing I bought it for, and they gave me like a year's supply of deodorant or something.
The postman must have been cussing you.
Well, I think it was only 3 cans. Brennig James in Shrewsbury, what are you, a complainer as well?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. Yes, I am. Life irks me quite a lot when companies don't give us what we are paying for. And I don't set out to look for something to complain about every day, but when I don't get the service that we are expecting, I have no problem in writing a letter to them and pointing that out to them.
Okay, best complaint, Brennig.
Best complaint. There are so many to choose from, I have to say, but they're all more or less fairly serious. But probably the most expensive one is for replacement windows from a rather well-known window company, and I've complained about it, and satisfaction does eventually come through.
Well done. So you got them to replace your windows after they put bad ones in.
They were replaced 4 times.
Wow.
But they were eventually replaced to more or less my satisfaction, but at least they weren't faulty.
I think actually, Ingrid, that's a very good point. When somebody does work on your roof or your windows, if it is not to your satisfaction, you must complain then, mustn't you?
Absolutely. I think so. I think a lot of the time people are terrified or too scared to sort of really know what their rights as consumers are, or they feel a little bit guilty, or just it's just a bit bad about the whole complaints thing altogether. So it's very important, especially if you've spent money. Why do people not deserve what they have paid for?
Thank you for joining us. And we are in the clear, yeah, Ingrid. We're not going to be complained about.
I'll try not to.
We didn't do anything wrong. The lift worked okay.
It's absolutely lovely, and the people here are lovely too.
You're right. Ingrid Stone, writer and serial complainer. Thank you.